An emotional plea to put on a seatbelt, grieving Montana lawmakers.
Still, some say the effort goes too far. Your latest legislative news coming up at 5:30. Thanks for making us part of your Thursday.
Topping our news, Greg Zindell is found guilty of sexual intercourse without consent. His trial came to an end last night after 2 days of testimony. It took the jury just 3 hours to find Zindell guilty of raping a woman at his home back in September of 2011.
I think the word would be a travesty of justice, yeah. I think a lot of his family is very motivated to be looking into any avenue they can to try and get him free.
You know, anytime you have one of these cases, you have to look at them. You know, you can't take one person's word necessarily over the other, but we looked at it, we did a lot of work on it, and the victim was very happy, and we're very happy, and so I think justice was served.
Zindell will be sentenced on April 16th. Just after the rape, Zindell was also named in a wrongful death lawsuit. That suit claims Zindell acted negligently in allowing his son access to a gun that was used in the fatal shooting of a Great Falls 10-year-old.
28-year-old Tyson Whiteplume is taken into custody after a high-speed chase north of Great Falls. It was around 8 o'clock last night when dispatchers were called about a car driving erratically on Highway 87. The Cascade County Sheriff's Office reports Whiteplume hit another vehicle, and when he was approached by a deputy, he sped off and a chase ensued. When he reached the north side of Great Falls, police used stop sticks to deflate Whiteplume's tires. He was arrested and faces 3 charges, including his second DUI.
Great Falls businesses continue to make improvements in the battle against underage drinking. Last night, GFPD conducted an alcohol compliance check on 53 businesses. These checks ensure that liquor license holders are working to prevent the sale of alcohol to underage buyers. 46 businesses passed. That's an improvement of 4% since last October's check. Of the 7 businesses that failed, 5 requested to see ID from the underage buyer, then still made the sale after seeing they weren't legal. For a list of the businesses that passed and those that failed, visit KRTV.com.
The Montana Legislature is once again considering a bill which would allow law enforcement officers to pull drivers over for not wearing their seatbelts. Senator Brad Hamlet's bill would penalize drivers with a $20 fine for not wearing safety restraints. The proposal draws wide support from the law enforcement community. A Montana mother whose daughter died in a car accident in which she was not wearing a seatbelt spoke out.
Do you have any idea what it feels like to go to the funeral home to say goodbye to your child and have their staff tell you not to touch her hair because they combed it that way to cover some of the injuries? Not to pick her up and cradle her in your arms because the damage is quite severe? Or for them to tell you that her other hand is under the blanket for a reason, please don't pull back the cover.
2 opponents to the bill testified that requiring people to wear seatbelts is government overreach.
The state's to our automobiles is a violation of our civil liberty and an abuse of their power. There's no constitutional requirement for state and federal governments to protect people from their bad decisions.
Right now, officers can pull a driver over if they suspect a child in the car is not properly restrained, but they cannot pull over a driver if they suspect an adult is not wearing a seatbelt.
The Student Assistance Foundation held their Montana College Affordability Summit today. The agency says there's a lack of support for higher education among low-income populations. SAF is calling for the state to step up in providing college funding for those students. Students who are eligible for the federal Pell Grant are getting very little assistance from the state.
Education is the driver of success, of all measurements of success, whether it be economic development in a state, whether it be earnings for an individual. You know, education is the most important investment we can make in young people's and other people's future.
The summit included discussion about how Montana is falling behind the rest of the country in providing low-income student assistance.
While some fight for education funding, folks in Great Falls are simply celebrating college opportunities tonight.
KRTV's Jen Fenter joins several higher education leaders at this evening's event. She joins us now live from College-MSU. Jen?
That's right, Tim and Katie. Education is definitely something we're celebrating, and tonight Dr. Susan Wolf is making sure everyone gets that opportunity. Now, Dr. Wolf, tell me a little bit about tonight's event and why you wanted to include opportunities outside of the MSU family.
Right. The reason I wanted to do that is that oftentimes people don't know what opportunities they have to continue their education here. And we have over 17 providers in this area for continued education. So when we were talking about our celebration, I said, why don't we pull everybody together so our community understands what each one of us offers and do it all in one place. So here they are. It's wonderful.
Now, you guys are celebrating. We have had quite a lot of changes this year for Great Falls College-MSU now. We've got a new name, branding. How is that impacting our student trends? What are you noticing now?
Yeah. What we're finding out with our students with our expanded mission, which includes transfer, is that we are getting a younger population here. Students are coming directly from high school. They can come to this college, get the first 2 years of their university degree, save a lot of money, still live at home if they, are able to do that, and then, go on. They're much more successful when they transfer. So that's one exciting thing. We're expanding our career programs. We have the developmental education programs for people who have to brush up on their skills. We do our community outreach, and then we also have customized training. And a big piece of it is the community development, like what we're doing with ADF Group.
Now, we have representatives from every school here and every age, really, for any student. Kind of briefly tell me why we wanted to include even the littlest guys here.
The little ones. Well, we have a new child development center here on campus. It's called Bright Beginnings Learning Center. And so we've got, from infants on up to preschool. And I just think, oh my gosh, you know what? They are going to be our future students. So it's kind of a legacy build. So we really offer classes for everybody from birth to grave, is how they say it, or cradle to grave. So
Great.
Exciting.
Thank you, Dr. Wolf. And tonight's event is free, and it's running until 7 o'clock, so I encourage you all to come down here and at least check it out.
Yeah, please
Back
do.
to you guys.
Yeah, we welcome it.
Parts of the state are digging out after heavy snowfall late last night and this morning.
Mike is standing by with a recap.
Some very impressive numbers, guys, coming out of central Montana just to the east of Great Falls. Lewistown picked up nearly a foot of new snow last night and this morning. Rocky Boy up in the snow tell, 8 inches there. Showdown reporting 7 inches of fresh snow. A couple other cities reporting in. Fort Benton 3.5, Havre 2 inches, and Highwood a 1.5 inch snowfall report. You look right now at Lewistown. They've done a good job of clearing up the roads, but you see the snow packed in there in the median. It's currently 29 degrees after that nearly a foot of snow came down earlier. It's 35 in Great Falls, 41 Cut Bank, but you look out toward Glasgow, temperatures there just below freezing or just below zero. It is very cold, and overnight we are looking at lows in the single digits out east, in the 20s out west. We'll look ahead to the next 7 days coming up in Storm Tracker weather.